So this retreat that we'll be teaching in March, me and Dawn Scott, is titled Not Self from a Feminine Paradigm. And the reason why I use this term from the feminine paradigm is that we often approach the teachings of not self from a conceptual framework, such as the six sense bases or the five aggregates of non-clinging or dependent origination. And while these conceptual frameworks are really helpful, for me, I found that they didn't really, you could say, touch my heart. They didn't really lead towards the kind of transformation that I and all of us are looking for, freeing the heart. Not self from a feminine paradigm is not self through feeling. So that's how it works for me. I feel my way to not self. So the heart, you could say, our awareness feels any place that I am bound in a sense of self. So it might be physical, it might be mental, it might be emotional, it might be energetic. And the awareness touches these places and starts to allow them to dissolve, to melt. And we connect with what feels like self, and we feel the suffering in it, and awareness allows it to dissolve and to melt. These contracted places open up, and we feel the spaciousness and the heartfulness of not self. So this way of approaching not self is much more in line with the feminine paradigm, or what's known as a feminine archetype, that emphasizes feeling, embodiment, and intuition. So we tend to explore not self through the experience and perspective of the mind, but I am interested in what is it like to explore not self through the heart. How do we experience not self through the heart? So as the places that were bound into a sense of self, as these dissolve and melt, what we're left with is our own radiant heart, our unbound heart, the heart that's not contracted around me and mine, but rather open and able to touch life and be touched by life and be responsive to the world that surrounds us. When I've taught this subject in different venues, what I often get from students is, wow, that makes so much sense to me. Like not self in some of the other ways that it's been presented hasn't really felt like it resonates with my experience, but this way of describing not self or experience or exploring not self resonates with my own experience. So many times there's a kind of excitement from students in hearing the Dharma expressed in a way that lines up more with how they experience the world. This can be true for men and women. It's particularly seems to be true for women, but also for men or gender fluid folks. Our hope for this retreat is that students will leave with a sense of not self as experienced through the heart. And that experience is one of the open heart, the unobstructed heart, the unbound heart. And that we'll have more of a direct experience of ourselves, an embodied experience of both what self feels like, but also what not self feels like, what that kind of freedom and release and spaciousness feels like, particularly from the heart. I'm really looking forward to this time to share this exploration together in the darkness of the winter that's just moving into spring. And I hope that you'll be able to join us.